My name is Mia Yates. I'm 23 years old, and I work from home. I have a nice older brother who is 5 years older than me. He's engaged to a woman named Natalie, who is 26 years old. Natalie is very different from me. I'm not great at talking to people, but Natalie is outgoing and makes friends easily. Natalie has become close to our parents and often visits our house without telling us beforehand. Today, she showed up at our door without calling first. When the doorbell rang, my mom knew it was Natalie and welcomed her in. Natalie came into the living room with my mom and said, "I'm here." Then she looked surprised when she saw me. "Mia, you're still home?" She said without even saying hello. I told her, "I'm working from home." But she just said, "That's enough. You need to get a real job." I didn't know how to respond, so I went back to work without saying anything. My room is special to me. It's soundproof, and I designed it myself, with my parents' permission, of course. I paid for everything. It's like my own private castle, so I keep it locked and don't let anyone else inside. To get in, you have to unlock the soundproof door and then open another door. When I got inside, I let out my frustrations by yelling. I was annoyed that Natalie didn't understand that I was working. At lunchtime, a little light bulb in my room blinked, letting me know it was time to eat. I went to the living room where lunch was ready. My mom suggested we eat together, so I sat down. But then I saw Natalie sitting across from me, looking upset. "You're eating even though you don't have a job. Don't you care about upsetting your parents? You're like a parasite," Natalie said. I stayed quiet and just listened. When my parents said grace, I did too, and then started eating. Natalie didn't seem happy that my parents didn't scold me for not having a job. "Natalie, don't worry about it. Mia's our daughter, and we'll take care of her," my dad said, trying to reassure her. But Natalie wasn't convinced. She kept on expressing her worries. "I can't feel sure about marrying into this family if things stay like this," she said, still angry. My parents tried to calm her down, saying, "Just marry into our family, everything will be fine." But Natalie wasn't happy with their response. She kept on talking about her concerns. "I'm still not reassured. What if you two can't take care of Mia anymore? Do you expect me or our future kids to look after her?" she said, assuming that I'd always depend on others and never do anything for myself. I stopped eating and felt upset by what she was saying. My mom tried to defend me, saying, "Mia does work, you know. Don't worry about her," but Natalie wouldn't stop worrying. At 23, just look at her. Braided hair, thick glasses, always in sweats. "Who would believe she's working like this?" Natalie said, clearly frustrated. I tried to defend myself, softly saying, "How I look doesn't affect my work." But it seemed to make her even more upset. "Then what kind of job do you do? Tell me," she demanded, staring at me angrily. I was so scared that I couldn't speak. My mom stepped in, saying, "Mia's job is private to our family. I'm sorry, but we can't discuss it." Natalie got up and stormed off, saying, "So I'm not part of this family, is that it?" I felt bad for causing a scene and apologized to my parents. My dad reassured me, saying, "It's okay, Mia. Just do what makes you happy," with a smile. After dinner, I felt a bit better and decided to talk to Natalie about my job after my brother's wedding. I brought it up during the meal, and my parents seemed to think it was a good idea. Later in the evening, after cleaning up, I went grocery shopping with my mom while my dad took care of the garden. When we got back, we found Natalie crying in the living room with my dad comforting her. My mom asked what was wrong, but Natalie was too upset to answer. My dad told us he heard a loud noise from inside the house while he was in the garden. He pointed to a crowbar and hammer on the table. I realized right away that something had happened to my room and rushed to check it out. When I got to my room, I saw that the door was badly damaged, like someone had tried to force it open with a crowbar and hammer. I felt frozen, a mix of shock and fear taking over me. My dad called my brother, who promised to come over as soon as he could. So I decided to stay in my room until he got there and tried to calm myself down. While I was waiting, I called my company and got permission to tell my future sister-in-law about my job after she married my brother. When I saw the light flicker in my room, I knew my brother had arrived. When I stepped out, I was surprised to see him already at the door. He apologized for startling me and didn't look at me but at the damaged door. I could tell he was probably shocked by what Natalie had done. I told him not to worry, that I would replace it myself, but he insisted that Natalie would take care of it. He took my hand and led me to the living room, where Natalie and my parents were waiting. As soon as we walked in, my brother confronted Natalie, saying, "I never thought you were capable of such violence." Everyone was shocked to see my usually calm brother so angry. He insisted, "You need to apologize properly to Mia and fix the door." Natalie started crying and kept saying, "I'm sorry," to my brother, but he interrupted her, saying, "This apology isn't for me," and gave her a stern look. I told my brother it was okay, but he kept his eyes on Natalie. She turned to me, knelt down, and apologized, promising to make things right. I accepted her apology and decided to move on from the incident. But I was curious why she did it, so I asked her. She said, "I thought if you didn't have a safe place, you'd have to get a job." Hearing this, I debated whether to tell her about my job before the wedding. But I knew it went against company rules, so I stayed quiet for now. The tension between my brother and Natalie bothered me, so I gave them each a concert ticket to try to lighten the mood. As Natalie looked at the tickets, she exclaimed, "These are for the Ames concert." Her face lit up with excitement, and she turned to my brother, saying, "Let's go." Her joy was infectious. My brother asked me, "Are you sure? These tickets are hard to get." I replied, "I got lucky. You can use them to make peace if you want." My brother's face also lit up with delight. Seeing them so happy made me happy too. The good vibes returned, and everyone forgot about the damaged door, enjoying their meal together. On the day of the concert, while I was out, Natalie excitedly visited my house to thank me. Since I wasn't home at the time, Natalie seemed to tell my parents, "Enjoy yourselves. Looks like Mia's decided to work outside for a change." The concert was fantastic. Afterward, my brother called me. He'd split off from Natalie at a company party and was thrilled about the concert. He mentioned that Natalie was a huge Ames fan and had always wanted to attend their once-a-year concert. He said she was over the moon about finally seeing them live. On the way home, Natalie couldn't stop talking about how amazing Ames was. When I mentioned I was glad we patched things up, my brother surprised me by saying, "The soundproof door we got as compensation cost $7,000. I just replied, "Sounds about right." He was shocked, saying, "Wow, that's expensive." I explained to my brother that the components for a soundproof room are expensive, which surprised him even more. He mentioned that Natalie felt the $7,000 expense for the door, but the concert made up for it. I felt good about giving them the tickets, especially since my brother and Natalie seemed to be getting along. However, Natalie still didn't understand my work-from-home job and thought I started working outside after the concert, which made her happy. When she realized her mistake, she started calling and visiting my house daily, urging me to get a job. I hoped to endure it until the wedding, but things only got worse. Even though I didn't want to see her until then, Natalie kept summoning me to the living room, where she kept nagging me about getting a job before the wedding, saying, "I don't want a jobless family member." To distract Natalie, I gave her merchandise like mascots and file cases from my previous company. At first, she happily accepted her favorite Ames items, but eventually, she started asking questions. She wondered why I had so much Ames merchandise. Reluctantly, I told her, "A friend who works with the Ames company gives them to me." When Natalie heard this, her smile widened and she seemed even happier. "Please get me more tickets next time," she said, but there was still a problem. She wanted more merchandise and started causing trouble about being allowed into my room. I managed to stop her a few times, but I worried she might break the door again. So I gathered my courage and gave her a stern warning. "Natalie, if you break the door again, it won't just be the cost of repairs this time. Last time, I paid for it. Next time, you'll be the one paying." Natalie's face went pale at my words. I wondered if she was really considering doing it again. All I could do was hope the wedding would be over soon so I could have some peace. Even after that, until the wedding day, there wasn't a single day when Natalie didn't visit or use the call light. I lost count of how many times I yelled enough already in my room. I tried talking to my brother about it, but he seemed resigned, saying, "I've told Natalie over 100 times that Mia is working, but she doesn't seem to listen to me." In my mind, I thought, I wish my brother would get as angry as he did when she broke my door. But I knew he was busy with wedding preparations. He had mentioned he needed to finish a ton of work before the wedding so he could go on the honeymoon. So I didn't have much hope in relying on him. I had to give up and deal with Natalie on my own. Finally, it was the day before the wedding. As expected, our parents spent the day together, so the four of us had a fun night reminiscing and looking at old photo albums. It was nice to spend time together as a family after a long time. I mentioned, when I get married, my brother will have his own family, so we'll just be the three of us with our parents the day before the wedding. It'll feel a bit lonely. But my brother reassured me saying, "No, I'll come here and spend the day with you." I was glad he said that. In that peaceful moment, his phone rang. It was Natalie calling. He answered and then handed me the phone, saying, "Natalie wants to talk to you." When I answered the phone, Natalie said, "Hey, something's going on with Ames. There's a big announcement tomorrow. Can you ask your friend who gives you the merchandise what it's about? What if she's quitting or taking a break?" Apparently, Ames Agency had announced on social media that there would be a major announcement the next day. I didn't want to be bothered during my family time, so I simply said, "I don't know," and hung up. My brother felt the same way and turned off his phone. When our dad said it was time to go to bed early, my brother bowed deeply and thanked our parents for taking care of him. He said he was ready to be happy with Natalie. Mom joked, "That's what happens when women get married." My brother laughed along with the rest of us, and we ended the night before the wedding on a light note. Finally, the wedding day arrived. I told my family I'd be a bit late in the morning, and they headed to the venue without me. When I got there later, I went to the waiting room to congratulate Natalie. I knocked on the door, and there she was, the beautiful bride, all ready for her big day. Just when I was going to congratulate the bride, she suddenly changed into a scary monster. She said she still had something important to tell me from yesterday when we talked on the phone. I said sorry and asked her what was wrong. She told me to leave. I tried to explain that it was my brother's wedding, but she was mad because I didn't have a job, and she didn't want people to think I was part of the family. I wanted to argue, but then Natalie, the bride, came really close to me and said firmly, "If I tell you to leave, you leave." Then she slammed the door shut. I felt really sad and went to a room they set up for me. There, professionals did my makeup and hair, and I changed into the nice dress I bought for the wedding. But I knew I wouldn't be able to go. While I was getting ready, my parents called. I told them what happened and promised I would still celebrate in my own way, even though I couldn't go to the ceremony. The wedding started without me, but I watched it on a screen in the room. I almost cried when I saw my brother looking for me, but I reminded myself it was a happy day, not a sad one, and watched the ceremony, sending my blessings silently. After all the fun, the lady hosting the event said, "We got a special video for the stars of today's show. Watch the screen, please." The lights dimmed and a video started playing. Everyone in the room cheered when they saw Ames, who Natalie adored, appear on the screen with a message. "Surprise, it's me, Ames. Congratulations on getting married, bro and Natalie." Natalie looked shocked and glanced at my brother, who seemed to be saying, "That's Mia. I've been looking forward to this day, but I couldn't make it because of some urgent stuff." I made up an excuse for not being there and shared a simple message of congratulations. Then I admitted, "Natalie, I never told you, but I'm now part of your family. But I'm moving overseas soon, so we probably won't see each other much. You can ignore me if you want." Oh, and I wasn't just lazing around. I was working in my home studio. I couldn't help but add a little sarcasm. But I ended by saying, "I really wish you both all the happiness. I'm a singer-songwriter named Ames, and I got popular on social media. My stage name, Ames, is just my real name, Maya, spelled backward." When the lights turned on again, everyone was staring at Natalie. She looked shocked and really surprised. My part was done, so I left the place with the hair and makeup people and other workers. Later, my brother called me. He said after we left, Natalie was supposed to thank the guests and say goodbye, but instead, she was running around looking for me. When she found out I had left, she started crying in front of everyone. I also heard from friends that now everyone knows Natalie as the bride who Ames doesn't even consider family. My speech from the wedding got super famous on social media. They say she's feeling really sorry about what she did and can't even go out in her neighborhood anymore.